It was a regular day in Japan, with people boarding the train to get to their destinations. As the train neared its final stop, everyone's phones buzzed with alerts. The alerts said massive earthquakes had hit different parts of the world. Soon, they could feel the tremors themselves. The shaking grew stronger, especially when the train entered a tunnel. People began losing their balance and falling, scared and confused. Then, the train suddenly stopped with a jolt, leaving everyone terrified. They rushed out of the train, only to be shocked by what they saw outside. The familiar world had vanished. Instead, they found themselves near mountains. Their train was stuck halfway in a tunnel, surrounded by a jungle. They quickly realized their cell phones had no signal, making it impossible to call for help. To make matters worse, only their coach, number 5, was there. The rest of the train was missing. Now, they knew they had to wait for rescue. Among the passengers was Sam, a government firefighter. He and the train attendant calmed the frightened passengers. They also checked for injuries. Yumi admired Sam. She had ever since he led a fire escape training she attended. She was also there helping out. Back in the city, everyone was worried and confused. This included the police. They couldn't figure out where the last two coaches, numbers 5 and 6, had gone. They found the tracks leading up to the point of disappearance, but they couldn't find the missing coaches. Coach number 6 remained a mystery. Earlier, only coach number 5 was mentioned. Meanwhile, Sam, Yumi, and another passenger named Nevin decided to explore more. They ventured away from the tunnel where their coach was stuck. To their surprise, when they emerged, it looked like there were no signs of life. It was as if everything had been destroyed years ago. They quickly climbed a nearby mountain to get a better view, and what they saw left them astonished. The world they knew just a few hours ago had completely transformed. All around them was a vast desert with no sign of human life. They returned to their train coach and shared their findings. This made everyone wonder how their surroundings could have changed so much. There were no cities or signs of help, and their phones had no signal. They realized they had been stranded for over 7 hours without any rescue. To organize themselves, they made a list of everyone in coach number 5, totaling 46 people. Many passengers were hungry and thirsty, with no food or water brought along. The situation was dire. Then, a passenger named Rennie was looking through Nevin's bag for something to eat. She unexpectedly found letters that made her think Nevin was a criminal. Surprisingly, she then quietly took food from someone else's bag. Later, a passenger realized their food was missing. Rennie loudly blamed Nevin and called him a criminal in front of everyone. Nevin defended himself. He argued that accusing him without proof was unfair. He said anyone could have been on the train. Despite being suspected due to Renee's claims, Nevin left the train angrily in search of help. Later, someone was discovered to have accidentally recorded Renee stealing the food. This cleared Nevin's name. While Nevin was out looking for help, he nearly fell into a big hole. But Sam and Yumi arrived just in time to save him. Night fell. Then morning came. Passengers struggled to accept that they were truly stranded here, not in a dream. Paranoia began to set in among the passengers. Meanwhile, those who had gone out to explore returned. They shared any information they could gather to understand their location. They discovered a large abandoned tower to the east. It looked like it had been destroyed for years. This was surprising. Just the day before, news articles said the tower's construction would start in 2023. It would finish by 2026. This new information deepened the mystery surrounding their circumstances. Ken, one of the travelers, discovered a tin bottle marked with a manufacturing date of 2026. A biologist found GM plants on the train. This tech wasn't due for another 40 years. Piecing these clues together, the passengers reached a startling conclusion. Their train coach had somehow traveled 40 years into the future, from 2023 to a time beyond 2063. This revelation terrified everyone, suggesting that Earth was now uninhabited. They had two immediate concerns. First, they needed to return to their time in 2023. Second, they needed to understand how Earth had fallen into ruin. Meanwhile, back in 2023, news spread that train coaches were missing. This baffled the government. With 2 days past and supplies dwindling, finding water became urgent. To prepare for any chance of rain, Sam and Yumi set up a plastic sheet on the train, hoping to collect water. Sam and a few others decided to search for water. The sight of green trees nearby encouraged them. The trees suggested a water source could be close. They ventured into an unexplored area. There, they found signs of water, a frog and wet soil. These signs showed they were on the right path. They quickened their pace and eventually discovered a small waterfall, bringing them all a great sense of relief. During this time, Nevin opened up about the letters in his bag, revealing they were from his brother, who had been in jail for 2 years and was released just 2 days ago. Nevin shared that they had a tough childhood with abusive parents, which led him to start working at a young age to support himself and his brother. He became a hairdresser, striving to provide a better life for them both, but his brother got involved in illegal activities despite his efforts. Yumi and Sam felt sorry for Nevin, realizing they had judged him based on his appearance and the letters, without knowing the full story. This deepened their friendship. Nevin found himself developing feelings for Yumi, while Yumi seemed to like Sam. Amidst the crisis of being stranded in the future, a complicated love triangle emerged. However, their situation took a turn when it started to rain, providing them with much-needed water and a glimmer of hope for survival. This was all happening amidst the crisis of being stranded in the future. A complex love triangle appeared to be forming. Shane is the group's biologist. He took charge, finding edible plants in the jungle. He also warned everyone about the dangerous ones. With his guidance, they began searching for safe plants to eat. During this time, Yumi accidentally ate a poisonous plant, but its effects were not lethal. They adapted to their new environment. They crafted utensils from trees and made tools to start fires. They even used their ATM cards as makeshift knives. This transition highlighted their adaptability and resilience. They had relied on modern conveniences just days before. Now, they were tapping into nature's resources to survive. They began by identifying each person's skills and specialties among the 46 survivors. Shane hunted for food the next morning. Near a cliff, he met a stranger, the first person they'd seen since arriving in the future. However, Shane was hurt during the encounter. UTO was a medical student. The village had few medical resources, but UTO was their best hope for treating Shane. They used Shane's plant knowledge. They applied plants with antibacterial properties to prevent infection. They found clean clothes to dress his wounds. After 3 tense days, Shane recovered. He warned the group about the aggressive stranger in the jungle. To protect themselves, they followed Jackie's advice. As an employee at a security company, she set up traps around their camp. This caution proved wise when they heard someone caught in one of the traps the next day. They quickly investigated. They discovered a child dressed like them caught in the trap. The child managed to escape and urged them to wait as he ran off. Intrigued, Sam, Yumi, and Nevin followed him for several kilometers. They followed until they reached a small river that they hadn't seen before. There, the boy asked them to wait briefly before disappearing. During the wait, Sam shared a personal story from his past. He made a mistake at work. He ignored the advice of a senior. This led to an accident that cost the senior both legs. This tragedy weighed heavily on Sam, driving him to dedicate his life to helping others. To their astonishment, the boy returned, accompanied by more people. They were led to a location and found the second missing coach, coach number 6. It was several kilometers from their coach 5. This discovery partially solved the mystery of the missing train coaches. They met Hector. He was chosen as the leader by those in coach 6. They exchanged survival stories. This revealed big differences in their experiences. Coach 6 had landed near a river, providing them with fish and water. They worked to make their surroundings livable, setting up kitchens and toilets. Nevin recognized the man who had injured Shane as someone from coach 6. He apologized. He explained that his fear of future hostile inhabitants led him to push Shane and flee. He kept his encounter with Sam, Yumi, and Nevin's group a secret out of fear. Yumi and Sam questioned how he knew they had traveled to the future. He revealed that he discovered a damaged ship by the river. A radio broadcast and past recordings say it was now 2060. Hector then shared what he had learned since arriving in this future time in 2026. Just 3 years after 2023, a huge meteorite struck Earth. It landed in the Pacific Ocean. This caused global earthquakes and tsunamis, instantly killing billions. The survivors faced a slow demise. Dust thrown into the sky blocked sunlight. This led to a collapse of human life on Earth. However, over the years, the dust and clouds cleared. By 2060, Earth was green again, but no humans lived there. Hector said, "If we can go back to 2023, our top priority should be to tell the government about the coming meteorite. We must stop the disaster and save billions of lives, including our families and loved ones." The next day, while near Coach 6, Yumi and Rennie found a grave. It suggested that the people from Coach 6 had buried someone there. They tried to identify the deceased. People from Coach 6 warned them not to reveal their discovery to those in Coach 5. In a desperate attempt to alert the others, Yumi and Rennie split up. Yumi led the pursuers away to give Rennie a chance to inform the group. Reacting quickly, Nevin and Sam hurried toward Coach 6, determined to rescue Yumi. Meanwhile, Yumi still evaded her pursuers. She sought refuge in the same ship Hector had found. Back at Coach 6, Nevin noticed signs of a struggle. This confirmed their suspicions about the buried body. Hector then revealed the truth. This led to a confrontation where Hector had to kill him in self-defense. This act of protecting the group resulted in Hector being appointed as their leader. Hiding in the ship, Yumi saw Hector sabotage its comms. This suggested he had big secrets. Hector found her hiding spot. He confessed that he had no plans to return to their original timeline. Hector deeply desired that everyone stay in this future. He saw us creating a new society together. Hector arrived in this new era unexpectedly. He embraced his role as a leader, a stark contrast to his past life of failures. Yumi, now a threat to Hector's plans due to her knowledge, was captured and tied up in the ship to silence her. Tensions rose as misinformation spread between the two groups of survivors. Hector falsely accused Coach 5 of planning to steal from Coach 6. This accusation fueled conflict and distrust. Meanwhile, Coach 5 grew very worried about Yumi's disappearance. This led to a heated fight with Coach 6 when they met. Desperate to protect his secrets, Hector attempted to eliminate Yumi permanently. However, upon returning to the ship, he discovered she had escaped. Yumi returned to the group. She exposed Hector's true plan, to keep them in this time by sabotaging their return. The group rejected Hector's vision, so he tried to persuade them. He talked about the benefits of their current situation. The Earth was untouched and had many resources. There was no overpopulation or pollution. Hunger was no longer an issue. However, now aware of his deception, the group chose to ostracize him. Before being cast out, Hector gave them a diary he had found on the ship. It detailed a nearby tower that might offer a way back to their time. This discovery encouraged two passengers. They ventured to the hill at night. There, they found pieces of the meteorite that had hit Earth. These fragments exhibited unusual properties not found on Earth. Meanwhile, in 2023, scientist Ray analyzed CCTV footage to understand how the two train coaches had disappeared. He found that a wormhole had opened in the tunnel then. It swallowed the coaches, but their destination remained unknown. In 2060, several passengers from Coach 6, disillusioned with Hector's plans and eager to reunite with their families, joined Coach 5. Together, they studied the meteorite fragments. Sam discovered their unique magnetic charge. They also found their faint glow. This discovery sparked hope among the survivors. They thought that gathering more fragments could let them use the field for their benefit. A passenger recalled seeing what seemed like a shooting star on the day of their time travel. However, Ray, analyzing footage back in 2023, identified it as a distant supernova explosion. Supernovas happen when a big star reaches the end of its life. It explodes and releases huge energy. Such events can affect space-time. They cause earthquakes on nearby planets, form black holes, and may create rifts in space-time. They realized this supernova had made a rift on Earth. It formed a wormhole that took the train's last two coaches into the future. The survivors understood their journey through time. They realized they'd need the wormhole to reopen on its own, or to open it themselves. They might use the meteorite's properties. The next morning brought new challenges. A heavy rainstorm damaged their shelter and spoiled their food. In the midst of this, a passenger suggested hiding in the tunnel behind the train to escape the storm. The passengers opened the tunnel door to escape the storm. To their shock, they found another wormhole. The rain and storm had created it. An accidental experiment sucked a passenger's doll into the wormhole. It sparked hope that this could be their path back to their original time. However, Sam intervened. Yeti tried to enter, but Sam warned of the dangers and the risk of death from the wormhole's energy. The wormhole vanished as the storm subsided. Meanwhile, back in 2023, two detectives were investigating the train coach's disappearance. They stumbled upon the same doll that had been sucked into the wormhole. Manufactured in China in 2060, the doll served as evidence of the wormhole, bridging these two distinct time periods. In 2060, the survivors deduced that the wormhole appeared when energy disruptions happened. These disruptions were caused by phenomena like supernovas, storms, or earthquakes. They realized they needed a lot of electricity to maybe reopen the wormhole. So, they formulated a plan. They discovered a broken electricity pole. They traced the wires from it, hoping to harness enough power. They wanted to use the power to create the extreme conditions needed to reopen the wormhole. After days of persistent digging, they finally found an electric power substation. It had been buried under mud for years. It was miraculously intact inside. It held a lot of unused power, and this power had been preserved for decades. This discovery sparked hope. They might have found a way to make the energy needed to maybe reopen the wormhole. The group devised a plan to use this power source. They will send electricity to the tunnel in preparation for the next storm. Their goal? To expand and stabilize the wormhole long enough to return to their original time. Signs of a coming storm emerged. Nevin confided in Yumi and decided to stay behind. He felt he had nothing to return to in their old world. Yumi, empathetic yet resolute in her feelings for Sam, suggested they remain friends. Witnessing this exchange, Sam found himself conflicted and unsure how to proceed. With urgency mounting as the storm approached, everyone hurried to board the train. Their efforts paid off. The wormhole expanded, growing large and stable. Encouraged by Sam and Yumi, Nevin hesitated briefly as the storm intensified. They faced challenges, but they all managed to board the train. It entered the wormhole, filled with their hope to return to their time. Upon emerging, security opened the train's doors. This prompted the passengers to eagerly ask about the date. The response left everyone astounded. Upon their return, the passengers found themselves on May 1st, 2026. This was 3 years after they left in 2023. It was just before the predicted meteorite strike in December 2026. This realization meant they had arrived back in their original timeline. But it was 3 years into the future, at a critical moment before the expected disaster. Medical teams promptly examined them. They checked to ensure the people hadn't been exposed to harmful radiation. They also checked for infections from their time in the future. The group tried to share their amazing journey with police and government officials. They explained their time travel from 2023 to 2060 and back. They presented evidence. This evidence included the doll. It also had meteorite fragments and futuristic plants they had brought. They also presented a diary outlining a timeline. This timeline said Earth would be destroyed on December 9th, 2026. It said it would happen due to a meteorite impact. They provided consistent evidence. But the authorities still doubted the survivors' story. They claimed time travel and an impending apocalypse were coming. They dismissed the survivors' warnings. Meanwhile, the survivors reunited with their families. Their families had been searching for them for 3 years. For those who had traveled through time, it felt like only a few months had passed. Nevin initially felt isolated without his family. But he had a sudden reunion with his younger brother. His brother sought forgiveness for his past and illegal activities. He explained that Nevin's disappearance had sparked his reformation. It brought immense joy and marked a fresh start in their relationship. The survivors found warmth in reuniting with loved ones, but they were burdened by the knowledge of Earth's doom. Government skepticism remained a significant barrier to their efforts to prevent the catastrophe. However, Ray is the scientist investigating the train's mysterious disappearance since 2023. He confirmed the survivors' claims. He found that a meteor was set to hit Earth in December. This aligned with the survivors' warnings. They were relieved by the space mission's success. They prepared to leave for Switzerland, their chosen safe haven. They faced challenges and uncertainty, but they found solace. They knew they had averted disaster for humanity. Yumi, Nevin, Sam, and the others boarded the plane to Switzerland. They carried with them the hope of rebuilding their lives. They would do so in a world saved from the brink of extinction. They looked towards the horizon. They reflected on their amazing journey through time. They were grateful for the chance to change their planet's fate. In the months that followed, their story captivated the world. Governments around the globe started to take the threat of celestial impacts seriously. They invested in early warning systems and planetary defense. The survivors became advocates for global cooperation. They want to safeguard Earth from future disasters. Their experience reminded people of the fragility and resilience of humanity. If you're still here, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Only about 2% of viewers subscribe, so your support would mean a lot. Thank you.